Hi, everyone. Thanks for, so happy to be talking about this. So I actually work for Samsung Open Source Group, but I'm here really talking about more in the capacity of co-chair of the W3C Advisory Board, which is one of the governance boards of the W3C. I'm here to talk a little bit about W3C wide review and what it means, how we're using it to create, we think, a better society. So one of the things that we do in W3C whenever a spec is going through the process is we review it in for various types of things like accessibility, internationalization, privacy, security, architecture and design, and also sustainability. And this is part of a kind of culture of wide review that's intended to make sure that whatever goes through W3C, World Wide Web Consortium, is also beneficial to society in the larger scheme of things. So we have special review groups like accessible platform architectures, internationalization, privacy working group, security interest group, technical architecture group. And we also have a kind of, you may have heard or read this already, but we have a kind of ethos that user needs come before the needs of web page authors, which come before the needs of user agent implementers, which come before the needs of specification writers, which comes before theoretical purity. And this goes way back to the beginning of W3C and the kind of start of the whole organization. We wanted to go further than this, so I and a couple of other people in the technical architecture group started some work called the ethical principles, ethical web principles, which are kind of core principles that we can build on top of, which put internationally recognized human rights at the core of the web platform. So I'll get back to that in a second. And part of the reason for that is because we think that technology without ethics makes social inequality worse, which leads to this kind of situation which we don't want to be creating with the future of the web. So we get a lot of arguments back, oh, but you're not ethicists. You're not, how can you possibly be doing this, right? Well, this kind of goes back to the whole topic of the talk, which is about shift left. So in the security arena, we hear a lot about shift left, how the security of code should be increasingly the provenance not only of the security experts, but also of the developers that are actually writing the code. So we think that you should be able to apply this same principle to the kinds of domains that we're talking about when we're talking about reviewing specifications and technologies for ethical considerations. This is all of our responsibility. It's not just some ethical design board. We all need to be thinking about how what we build affects society. So what do standards have to do with human rights? Technical standards are rules that tell systems what they can and cannot do. Therefore, they tell people what they can and cannot do and what can be done to them. That's something I strongly believe. We can build standards that accommodate the needs of people outside of the mainstream of society, such as marginalized groups, or we can choose to ignore those needs. We can build standards that resist surveillance, or we can build surveillance into the platform. We make those decisions affirmatively. But technology is neutral, many people say. Well, it turns out no. Technology is not neutral. All human endeavors are political. And if you realize this, then it becomes clear why we need to incorporate this thinking into our work. So the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights last year released a report after a number of workshops, some of which I participated in, which talks about the relationship between human rights and technical standards. Amongst other things, I talk about supporting inclusion of human rights due diligence, a development of mechanisms that allow human rights to be addressed at multiple points throughout the standards lifecycle, and ensuring that standards development processes are multi-stakeholder, that there's a diverse and inclusive culture behind the production of these kinds of technical standards. Extremely important stuff, and also references some of the work that I did on ethical web principles, which really gave me a good feeling. So anyway, and that is all based around this document, which is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which I strongly encourage you to read. So if you want to answer the question more fully about what the relationship between human rights and technical standards is, I strongly encourage you to take a look at this report. The QR code is up on the screen. And I think that's about it from me, and that's the end of my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.